Jeff, you got time? He's not listening to me. How's everybody doing tonight? It's a great night, isn't it? Well, I'm glad to have you all here. It is really awesome. We have a great speaker tonight. Yeah, he went out the door. Ralph has been here before, and he's done a great job. So I didn't make my list out tonight, so I'm going to go blind, okay? We got any new people in town? There's one. Can you tell us something about yourself? Come on. Name, address, where you live, phone number, all that kind of stuff, you know what I mean?
Credit card number.
There you go. There's Social Security, credit card.
My name is Masonda, in short. I'm coming from Tanzania, Africa. Cindy and Alan are guests. I've been here in the US for 3 weeks now, and I'll be flying out tomorrow. I'm very delighted to be joining our Woodwork Members Club. Although I won't officially join and continue to be with you guys, I'm just here to come and say hi. Very fortunate. I did a little bit of artwork myself, which I'll present it later. But I'm under the organization Sebo Wildlife Training Center, which is based in Arusha, Tanzania. We basically do organize, plan, and execute safari tours in Tanzania. Should there be any other thing you would like to know or get to share, possibly you might be getting the opportunity later. I'm not certain if that will be presented to us, but in short, that's what I would like to say to open up. Thank you.
I'm Roger Schoolcraft, a retired pastor who flunks retirement several times. I was in the Villages for a year. I came from Arkansas. I now live in Parrish, in the North River Ranch subdivision, so to speak. And I am newly married. I married my bride last July. We met working together at church in the Villages. I was the senior pastor and she was the music director. And we worked for 9 months before we realized there was more to it than just ministry. And so we're celebrating. Yesterday was the first anniversary of my proposal to her. So anyway, cabinetry, I've done several different cabinetries. I just finished doing 3 bookshelves that are 88 inches high and 32 inches wide. And my wife has filled up the bookshelves. She's a music director and musician and does handbells and other things. She's currently working at St. Margaret's Episcopal Church. And I am just floating, trying to retire, but I don't think I'm going to succeed.
Thank you both. Africa, interesting spot. Yeah. Welcome. One thing I want to do before I kind of get started is I started the first of the year as president, and Mike took over as vice president. He took over as vice president, took over as treasurer, took over as he's done a fantastic job, and he's going to put together next what do we call it? No, pick 2 before contest, okay? And he's done a great job, and he's done a lot of work. And I just want to say, because he's done a lot of things that I wouldn't have got done, but he's done a great job. Thanks, Mike. And we have a honored guest tonight. He hasn't been with us for, I don't know, but he sure created a lot of problem when we went out to eat tonight. So Joe's with us tonight, and it's absolutely fantastic. So he might sneak out a little early, but Joe's with us tonight. You want to say something, Joe? You I have a sick list, but I haven't heard back from a couple of people, but it is kind of what it is. Marvin caught some kind of flu bug that's just tearing him up, something terrible. And I haven't heard back from Bob yet. And I sent an email to, anybody heard anything from the Browns? Okay, I sent an email. I haven't checked my email, so I don't know if they responded to me. Okay, yeah. Just some people. All right. So now we have a couple announcements. John, where'd you go? Oh, I didn't see you.
Okay, thank you. My name is John Timer. Most of you know me because I've been a member for about 5 years now. But I've been asked to help Joe with the programming. And so I'm jumping into it. Like most engineers do, we look at a problem and try to figure out a solution.
You can wave your hands at the girls, but put this up here.
Gee. Okay. So my first venture out, I went up to Rockler and in Bradenton, or in Brandon, I'm sorry, Brandon, and met with the manager up there, nice young lady, name is Jen, and she was very susceptible to coming down in a couple of months to give us a program. So we'll keep reminding her gently over the next couple of months, and hopefully that'll result in us getting a program out of them. I told her to bring all her new goodies that she's been buying, because I get an email from them. I don't know how many of you do, but I get an email every day from them with something new. So they've got plenty of stuff. They were here shortly after that store was opened, but that was the last time they were here. So, and she said she had been thinking about that. So anyway, that's good. She also gave me some discount cards for all of our paying members. I gave them to Mike over here. He's the treasurer. He'll take care of them. You show this when you go in, or when you get ready to check out, I should say, and they will give you a discount. I think she said 10%, but don't hold me to that. It is okay. And then they have a sheet there with the club's name on it, and once they get 20 sales, we get something. Well, we figured that. She has your telephone number, too. Because she asked me about that and who the president was. I told her. She, oh, well, get me his telephone number. Then later, before I checked out, she said, oh, I've got his phone number.
The point behind what he's saying is I went up there, I don't know, just a couple, 2 or 3 days ago, and I bought, I don't know, whatever. But I showed him my card and had 23 on it. So if you got an old card, you got to get 24 on it because they wiped out, and you got to get the new card. So yeah. These cards, the discount cards, recycle on January 1st, I believe it is, every year. So that's why she gave them to me, because she didn't want to keep them for another couple months, because she's hoping some of you would come up and visit her. Anyway, get me check here. So we've got a $20 gift card that I think we put in. Door prizes, okay. And but anyway, the reason I wanted to get up here and talk in front of you, which I don't like to do very often. Yeah. Is in part of being in the programming, which I've never done before, so I'm kind of green at it. And I know Joe's offered his help, but I got to thinking, after all, these programs are for you all. And I'd like to know from you what type of programs that you would like to have. So if you can catch me at the break and you've got some IDs, let me know and we'll talk about it. Also, I'm looking for people that can put on a program. And if you have a specialty, somebody mentioned maintenance of a bandsaw. That would be a good thing. Mine doesn't get any, so it would be a good thing to go through and hear about.
So if you have an idea of a program you'd like to put on, fine. I'll be doing a program later this year sometime on a scroll saw, so you'll have to suffer through that one. But then I'll be coming around looking for people to help us out here. Some of us think there's a great pool of technology, information right here, so we'll be trying to get some of our members to do this also. All right, I think my 5 minutes are up. It's all yours.
Did you go your full 5 minutes?
I don't know. I wasn't talking.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
He's an engineer. He went more than 5 minutes.
And what are you?
I'm just great.
Okay.
He didn't give me a time limit because there's no time like the present. Several announcements. The picnic is Sunday. If you haven't signed up, please sign up. And if you haven't told me what you want to bring, please tell me. There's a sheet for that too. For the people that haven't told me, I'll be calling you this week and giving you an assignment of what to bring. All the meats are provided. We provide any desserts, any side dishes, any treats, anything like that. We'll have drinks of soda variety and water. No alcohol. I don't even know if alcohol is allowed there actually, but if you want to bring your own little keg, it's up to you. It's going to start at 2, but you can come early, and I hope you do, to come help me set up, because there's a lot of tables to put up and places to set. We'll have a little cornhole game there too, so we can have a little championship going with that. So that's this Sunday, and it's at the Farm Bureau Pavilion off of Palmer Road is where it's at. Same place we had it last year. Wanted to explain what we have going on here again. We have the 50-50 raffle, and remember that's a prize money raffle that builds over time. Right now it's worth about $110, $115. We don't have the exact count yet. It's $5. We've had 2 drawings that didn't win, so there's 8 cards left. There's 10 that we start with. 8 cards left, so there's 3 of those cards are winning cards. One wins $5, one wins $10, and one wins the whole pot. So it's a pretty good chance. Roughly speaking, there's 40 chances in there, roughly speaking. So you got a pretty good odds of winning. Certainly better than the Powerball. But it also isn't $1 billion like the Powerball. Then we have the tool raffle, which will be given away tonight as 2 bar clamps tonight. Those are worth over $150. It's $5 for that as well. So please, those were donated to us. So that's whatever money we make off that raffle will go towards the club. And then along the tables here are things that people have donated. And in some cases, they're like on the back wall, there's tools that were donated by a company. And what they agreed to do is we'll split 50-50. Whatever the club gets, they get 50% to try and pay off some of what they donated, and we get 50%. Over here, there's some tools, for example, that Bill made, and we're doing the same thing. He put it at 50% of what he normally sells these for, and we'll get half of that selling price. So we have on the table the selling price. So again, to be clear, he would normally sell this for $30 to $40. We're selling it for $15. He'll get $750, the club will get $750, and when I give him the $750, I'll ask him for it back as a donation. So, and then the rest of the tools that are here are just tools that people have donated. Some have prices on them, some just, give us a fair offer for what it is. But that's how we earn money to do the picnics and the Christmas things and give all the other door prizes away. 3 door prizes again tonight from sign up. I know we have 1 left to sign in tonight, but if you haven't signed in, make sure you sign in. That's what I got.
Is that what you got?
That's it.
All right. We got a great program for you tonight. Ralph has been here before. He did a great job, I think, last time. Right? Yeah. Did you do a good job last time? See? Okay. All right. So, came out of Orlando, right? So he had a nice little drive. We fed him, so he's well fed. And now he's going to put a program on for us. Ralph, it's all yours.
Is this thing on? Yeah, cool. Well, good evening, all. Thank you for having me again. I have been here before. My name's Ralph Bagnall, but for those of you who haven't been here for one of my seminars or not another, I like doing things interactively, so if you have questions as we're going forward, don't wait till the end. Raise your hand, shout out, throw something at me, whatever it takes to get my attention, and we'll deal with the questions as they come. It's just easier that way, and it'll work out. We're going to cover kind of a wide range of topics tonight. I'm going to show you some new stuff from Microjig, the company that I work for, but we're also going to talk about some carbide versus insert tooling versus high-speed steel, sharpening, and a few other things kind of all wrapped up into that. I've got some insert tools that I want to show you, some cool stuff. And we'll talk about that a little bit, because tooling is one of those things that not everybody understands fully, and there's a lot more science in it than you think, a lot more engineering and a lot more physics. One thing I want to touch on before we get too far along, it's been my privilege a couple of times over the last several years to judge the woodworking competitions at the state fair here in Florida. And I got to tell you, first of all, I enjoy doing it. It's a lot of fun for me to do it. But the one thing I've learned as being a judge is enter. Just enter. Put something together and enter the competition. A, you'll learn a lot. B, it's fun. And C, you have a much better chance of winning something than you think you do. Okay? The way the judging works, if there's two levels. Anybody who's entered who's never won at the state fair, they're all on the same level. Anybody who's won a ribbon or any kind of anything at the show is in a different category and is judged with other people who have won. So that kind of levels the playing field quite a bit. And then at the end, I do the judging on, or whoever does the judging on a Saturday, and then Sunday they bring everybody in. They invite all the participants in. This actually happens before the fair. But they invite you in, and the judge will go through all of the items and talk about what they liked, what they didn't like, what they think you could improve. It's not about criticizing, it's about critiquing and educating. And that's one of the parts I like best. My favorite part is Sunday, talking with the people and, what were you thinking when you made this? Sometimes it's a mistake. Sometimes it's they tried something and it didn't quite work out the way they wanted. Other times it's like, yeah, it was an accident. It just came out that way. And it's like, well, that's why you won. So you never know. And I want to encourage everybody to participate. If you don't think you don't have the talent to do it, because I've seen people who are, very, very novice woodworkers walk home with a ribbon because they did something that was simple but well executed. And of course, the complexity figures into it. There's a lot of factors, but I just want to encourage all of you to really give that some thought. The fair is in February. The judging happens in February. The fair might be in March. I don't remember. But anyway, and they rotate judges so that people don't try to build something for the judge. So I have not been asked to do it this year. I don't know if I will be, but I just want to encourage you to do that. All right. So again, I've been a professional woodworker for more than 40 years, and I've been writing for magazines for 24 years. I started in 2000 with Woodworkers Journal. The next issue of Popular Woodworking that comes out next month is going to have another article from me in it. I've got a book out on CNC woodworking, and another one that I just sent to the publisher just sent the manuscript in that'll be coming out this fall. So I've been around the game a long time, and one of the things that I've kind of picked up over the years is doing these seminars. And again, with this group or any other, if there's something you want to learn about, let us know, because I may be able to put together, something to teach. I've got a few of my own that I've done, but I've been down with this group enough times that we're running short. So we'll play with that. So one of the things that is popular is when I come down and talk about new products. So I work for Microjig. We're the company that makes the gripper, push block for the table saw, and a bunch of other stuff. We've got a product that's coming out, was supposed to be out this month. It's coming out hopefully in the beginning of May. So it's our CNC clamping kit. For those of you who have adopted the match fit system, which is where you cut a dovetail groove into MDF or plywood, and we have clamps and hardware that fit into that groove. Instead of buying T-Track, you can make these grooves wherever you want to, and it's a lot cheaper and easier to work with. So we've taken that match fit system and we've designed clamps and hold downs for the CNC machines the benchtop type, where you would put together the what we call the spoil board here, that it protects your machine from when you cut through, but it also provides the dovetail grooves for the clamping system. And there's actually two different sets here. Part of this system works with the edges of the part, holding it by the edge, so that we can machine the entire top without the clamps being in the way like they would over here. And then the more traditional method is to hold from the top. We have a set of clamps that do that. So this will be coming out this year, next month, and it will be in the Rockler stores and all the retail, but also online. Anybody who has any questions about it, please feel free to come up afterwards, and I'll be happy to explain it to you. But that's coming out this year. The other thing is that Whiteside is now bringing out a set of 7 beginner router bits for the first-time CNC buyer. This is what I consider to be the proper starter kit. Again, I've been around these machines since 1997, so it's been a long time. And they're partnering with me to make this set of bits, which I think are the right ones. It's a little bit of a different choice of bits than typically you find. So that'll be coming out this fall as well. All right, so let's talk a little bit about sharpening and different types of cutting tools and cutting materials. There's a surprising amount of science and physics that goes into even a simple saw blade, okay? Many of us think, oh, well, you know, for fine cutting you need more teeth, for ripping you need fewer teeth. And that's generically true, but the way the teeth are ground, the angle that they're set to in the saw blade, the rake, what we call the rake angle, whether it's more aggressive or less aggressive. Most of us will use the same saw blade, crosscut blade for the on the table saw as we will on our chop saw or miter saw, and that's incorrect. Miter saw should have a negative rake blade, makes all the difference in the world. So there's a lot to that, and I could go on for days about saw blades, but I'm going to avoid that just a little bit because I want to talk about carbide, high-speed steel, and insert tooling. So we're all very familiar with carbide router bits. 40 years ago when I started in the woodworking field, carbide was out there, but most of the router bits you worked with were high-speed steel. And to this day, most of the shaper knives out there and molder heads and all of that kind of stuff that they use in the industry typically are high-speed steel, not carbide. High-speed steel actually cuts better than carbide does, believe it or not. It just doesn't last as long. So we've all gotten used to these carbide bits, and they work very well. But one of the challenges with carbide bits is sharpening them, right? So normally I like to use either a whetstone or this is just a piece of 600 grit wet dry sandpaper bonded to some chipboard, a nice flat piece of chipboard, and this is an excellent sharpening system, but it won't do anything for carbide. So carbide tends to like diamond. Empower Tools makes a very nice little diamond sharpener, and it comes with a little handle, and it's got 300 grit on one side and 600 on the other. This is diamond, so it'll last pretty much forever, and you're just going to use that. It's made nice and small, so it tucks right in with the carbide, and you can sharpen the face. Now, the thing about it is we've got a profile here. This is a half-round profile, a beading profile, but whether it's a beading or an OG or whatever, you don't want to sharpen the cutting edge. You don't want to try to sharpen the profile. We're always going to work off the face only. As the carbide wears or high-speed steel, as any cutting tool wears, just like a pair of scissors, it rounds over at the sharp edge. And so the problem is if you try to replicate this profile, you may or may not get it right on both sides, get it exactly the same. And every time you start messing with it, you're changing the profile at least a little bit. So what you want to do is you want to work nice and flat just off the flat face. By taking some of that flat face off, you're going to restore the sharp edge where the two intersect, the edge and the face. So always keep that in mind. You do change the profile a little bit because the profile is back beveled away from the face so that it doesn't rub. So it does get a little bit, you only have so many sharpenings before you're going to change the profile. But it's a lot easier to work that way than to try and sharpen it any other way. So keep that in mind. The other thing is you'll notice that I took the bearing off this one because it's just easier to work with when you do that. Also, if you're going to clean your bits, Simple Green works really well to clean the pitch and the tar off your carbide bits, but always take the bearings off before you do that if it's a bearing bit. Simple Green is a grease cutter, and it will destroy the bearings because even though they're called sealed bearings, they're not actually waterproof. So don't use it around those. And while we're talking about bearings and all of that, Rockler, Woodcraft, everybody sells these little router bit repair kits. So it comes with some of the little nuts or bolts that go on that hold the bearing on, a couple of different rub collars, several different sizes of bearing, all in a little kit. It's really nice to have these around because the bearings will fail over time on a bit, and sometimes long before the bit dies. So having a spare that you can just put on and use is pretty good. And most of these bearings are similar size. The only company I know of that makes most of the bearings are going to be half-inch outside diameter. The inside diameter, I don't know what it is, but it's the same as the post here. Almost all the manufacturers, the bearings can be interchanged between the bits, with the exception of MLCS. For whatever reason, they have their internal diameter here is different, so their bearings don't fit anybody else's tools. But the little bearing kits are always good to have around, and a nice little diamond stone is also very nice to have, and it'll help you keep your router bits sharp. I don't know about you guys, but I have a router. I have 3 or 4 routers in my shop, but I still have far more money invested in bits than I do in routers. So take care of your investment. Now, as we move forward, so obviously this is almost looks like a router bit. It's really a shaper cutter, and it's got an arbor on it. Now this is from a company in New Hampshire called Korob Cutters. They make molding head cutters, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But this is a shaper cutter with a 3/4 inch bore. You could put this onto a traditional shaper. This is high-speed steel. So it kind of looks like carbide, but it's high-speed steel. Again, very easy to sharpen. Here I can use the same flat board, and once again, I'm just going to work the face gently on my board, just sharpening here, so that I don't distort the profile too much. And this is fairly easy to sharpen. These bits are also nice because you can get blank ones. And so this is a rabbiting knife for the molding head, and it's high-speed steel, which means I can grind and shape this to whatever shape I want it to be and make my own custom tooling. So there's a lot of opportunity for that sort of thing. It's not as hard to do as you think it is. So I really like the high-speed steel. High-speed steel cuts better than carbide because it holds a finer edge. You can sharpen it to a finer point. And the other thing to keep in mind is that carbide doesn't like heat. The fastest way you can burn up a carbide bit is not through use, but through overheating it. So you always want to be careful of that. Carbide is not a metal unto itself. Well, it technically is, but a carbide edge like this is actually particles of carbide in a tungsten matrix. So it's basically embedded in tungsten. When the bit heats up, it's going to heat at the thinnest point first, which is the cutting edge. And as soon as it heats up to past a certain point, the tungsten begins to break down and the carbide particles fly off into space. They're microscopic. It's not like it's a dangerous thing, but they're going to leave the cutting edge first. So they're going to dull the blade first. So always pay attention to your feeds and speeds with the carbide. High-speed steel is a lot nicer and more flexible when it comes to heat. There are a couple of companies that still make router bits, even something like a 1/4 inch straight cutter. Onsrud makes one very similar to this in high-speed steel, because if you're going to be working, doing a lot of grooving or deep down into a piece of material, the high-speed steel will actually last longer than the carbide. Another one I wanted to show you here is, this is Robert Sorby's, I believe it's their Turnmaster system. So it's a single handle, and it comes with 3 different heads, a square, a round, and a triangle. This is very similar to what you see typically from carbide turning tools, the carbide insert turning tools. The difference is that these inserts are high-speed steel. So they are going to cut better and faster than carbide will. And more importantly, again, you can take one of these off and sharpen it by just rubbing it on your flat plate very, very quickly restore the edge, put it back together, and keep using it. So this is a very interesting system that I've been privileged enough to play with recently, and I've found it very, very useful. It cuts much nicer than the carbide does, but it dulls a little bit faster, but you can restore the edges very, very quickly, which, again, you can theoretically sharpen the carbide ones, but only with diamond. And that's going to bring me to my next piece here. Go ahead.
Do they make those high-speed steel inserts in what's called a negative rake?
I don't know. You'd have to check Rob. If you check Sorby's website, I know that they make, these are 3 basic shapes, but they make several other shapes that go on this system. So, but I don't know all of them yet. So they may very well do that. I don't know for sure. Now, if you do want to sharpen your carbide, and it's something bigger than the router bit or, you know, a flat piece, this is, again, another Empower thing. I do some work for them, so I have a bunch of their stuff. But this is actually a diamond whetstone. So it's 1200 grit on one side, 300 on the other. I like this one because it comes with these magnetic feet, and this is rubberized, so you can put this on the back here, set it down, and, you know, again, I can work my part right here on top. Chisels, plane blades, anything you need to sharpen. This is a very nice system. And unlike water or oil stones, you don't have to oil them, you don't have to water them, they're less mess, and you're never going to, you know, dish this one out and have to restore the flatness on the face. This will last for a good long time. Nice little kit, and it's reasonably priced, but I'm going to actually donate this one to the club, so you guys can do with it as you will. It's brand new, it hasn't been used yet, and it also even comes with a little rubber cleaning stick for it. So this will be part of your club kit, and I think they're doing something with the carving with it, the carving group. Yeah. So anyway, but the diamond is very, very good for, it will sharpen the carbide, but again, always off the face. Now, the other part of the carbide thing, you know, many of us are aware, if you're a turner, you're aware that carbide insert turning tools are a thing, and those kind of stem from the planer heads and joiner heads that have the carbide inserts, the spiral heads. All of that comes from the machine industry. So in the machine industry, they've been using carbide cutting tool inserts on cutting tools for decades now, right? Yeah. But it's kind of made its way into the woodworking world, and now it's actually making its way right into individual router bits. So this is an interesting one. I bought this from a company called Spee Tools. They're actually out of China, but they make actually very good tools. But Amana sells a very similar set to this. So this one it's actually interesting. It looks like it's a 45 bit, and it's designed to be a 45 a chamfer bit. But the inserts are actually 4-sided, but 2 sides of the insert are straight, and the other 2 sides have a radius, a 1/8 inch radius milled in. So depending on which way I put the carbide in here, and they always index themselves properly because of the way the hole is designed, I can either put this together to do a 45-degree chamfer, or I can do the round over. And I've got this backwards. So it's one bit that cuts 2 different profiles depending on which way you arrange the carbide, and because it's double-sided, when one edge gets dull, you can, or if you accidentally chip one, you can spin it around, use the other side, so you get twice the life out of it. It's a little bit more expensive than buying a bit initially, a standard bit where the carbide is brazed on. However, if this gets dull, I can replace the 2 carbide inserts for less than 1/3 of the price of a new bit. So, or if it's a profile that you're going to use a lot of, over time this will pay for itself. And a small chamfer and a small round over is a bit I use all the time, right? Cutting boards, a lot of parts coming off my CNC, I'm going to want to round over the tops and bottoms and the corners. This bit does that very, very nicely. And the shank on this is a tool steel shank, which will last forever. And it comes with its own little changing tool. So these are interesting and well worth looking at. Again, carbide insert tools for routers have been in the industrial side of the business for a very long time, but they're relatively new coming into the market where they're more affordable and can be bought by the average hobbyist or advanced hobbyist. I think this bit cost me, it was like $35. So it's not terribly expensive. Yeah. Now, a little bit more expensive is, this is a Manitools in-groove system. This is primarily for engraving, but it's a very interesting system that I've been kind of drooling over for a long time, so I finally broke down and bought one. So it's a single, what we call an arbor, a single tool that goes into your router, and this is primarily for CNC type work, but the gold part on the front here can be taken off, and there's 7 individual profiles that can be added in here. There's 4 varying degrees and sizes of V cutters, so engraving bits. The cool part about this is, if you don't know anything about CNCs, when you set up, you have to touch your tool off to the top of the material so the machine knows where to start cutting. Because it doesn't know how long the tool is, and it doesn't know how thick your material is. So once you bring it down and you set it there and you say, this is 0, now it knows. Every time you change a bit, you have to reset that 0. Well, all 4 of the V-bit cutters that go with this set all end up at the same point. So I can actually change tools or change cutters without changing the Z height, which is kind of cool. The other thing is that it comes with 3 more traditional profiles, an 1/8" straight bit, an 1/8" cove bit or bullnose bit, and then an 1/8" roundover. So all 3 of those also share the same Z height, which is, again, kind of cool. The disappointment to this set with me is that the V bits all are the same length, the profile bits are all the same length, but the 2 sets are not the same as each other, which is a missed opportunity, and I've brought that to Amanda's attention. But anyway, so this kind of insert tooling is also very useful. Again, this isn't quite as useful for the average woodworker, but for the CNC guys and gals, this is a really good way to start thinking. But start keeping your eyes out for this kind of stuff, because it is going to be more and more prevalent. And again, this little bit here with the 2 roundovers is small enough that I have the Bosch 12-volt trim router, battery operated trim router. It's not very powerful. It's not going to do a lot of stuff, but it is very useful for doing easing edges and rounding over and cutting parts out of a sheet when they've been made. This bit works very, very well in that sort of lightweight router. And again, I only need 1 bit. I can do 2 different profiles. So keep your eyes out for this sort of stuff. It's starting to become more and more prevalent. For those of you that are interested, my website is woodcademy.com. I did a video on this bit and some other insert bits as well. A little bit on this set. There's a lot of stuff on there about router bits and tooling and things like that, trying to educate my fellow woodworkers. And then finally, I want to talk just a little bit about molding head cutters. So this belongs back in here. For those of you that own a SawStop, unfortunately they're not compatible with molding head cutters, but I've been using them for a while now, and you can do some stuff with molding head cutters that you can't do any other way. So a molding head cutter goes on your table saw, and it is literally, like it says, it's a molding head cutter. So this mounts sort of like a blade onto your table saw, but instead of having 30 teeth or 50 teeth or 80 teeth, it's got 3. And I will admit, when you turn this thing on the first time, it sounds a lot like an airplane starting up. It's woo. It makes a lot of noise. But this cuts unbelievably nicely. And the cool part is that I can take any of these cutters out, and they come in sets of 3. So again, we've got rabbiting cutters, so straight cutters for doing rabbets, and OG cutters and cove cutters and bead cutters, V cutters, you name it. Even door, style and rail door cutters, all for the molding head. And the molding head can do some things that can't be done any other way. For example, this particular cut here, the triple bead, this is one that, yes, I've got the same cutter right here in for the router table or the shaper, right? So I can do my triple bead edge if I wanted to do an edge. But what if you wanted to put a triple bead horizontally around a table leg? So right below the apron, so your apron's going to be 3 or 4 inches tall. So right below the apron, I want that decorative detail. How do you cut that 4 inches in? You can't raise your shaper high enough. But with a molding head cutter, I can literally use my miter gauge or a sled and go over it 4 times and cut all 3 beads at once. And they'll come out clean and sharp. The other thing is that when doing V cutting, like this, since this cutter is sweeping through the cut, the point will make a perfectly sharp, perfectly clean cut. If you're using a router bit with a V head, similar to this, now you can get these a lot bigger obviously, but the tip of this is actually, because it's a router bit, it's spinning this way in order to cut. The tip is basically not moving. So when you do a V with a router bit, the very point of that V is often a little bit fuzzy. It's not as clean as it could be because that tip is literally turning almost not at all. So a V cutter like this gives you a cleaner cut. And I use these when I'm doing miter folding. So if you want to make a floating shelf out of plywood, you can V all of the edges, glue it together that way, and it will look like a solid piece of wood even though it's hollow. So this works very well. It's not for everybody. These are kind of scary tools to use, but they make this one, which is a 7-inch cutter. There's also a smaller disc. So you get for a lower horsepower table saw, you can use that. The bigger the cutting arc, the better it cuts. That's true of shaper cutters, molders, saw blades, whatever. The angle of attack with a larger sweep of the circle cuts more cleanly. So it's the difference between chiseling like this or shaving like that. So a bigger cutter is always going to cut nice, more smoothly. This has a lot less kickback or pushback on you than you would think. You still got to be careful with it. I use Microjig's push block for this because it gives me an incredible amount of hold, and I keep my hands away from it when I'm using it, just like you would a dado blade. But one of the nice things, though, is that many of the molding head cutters, Corob also makes the matching shaper cutter. So I've done this. You can literally, I've used this to cut. This is actually, there's a triple bead and a triple cove that goes with it. They make both for both tools. So I can do one on the table saw and one on the router table, the opposite match. And it just gives me a level of flexibility that no other set of tools does. I collect a lot of the old Deltagrams that Delta used to put out in the 30s and 40s and 50s. And back then, electric routers weren't a thing. So everybody had used shapers and molder heads for any kind of molding work they wanted to do. Actually, some of the tools they used back then were scary. I mean, you look at some of those old Deltagrams, but they're really fun to look at, and some of the projects that they did back then. A lot of smoking projects. Ashtrays and smoking tables and pipe stands were very popular in the 30s and 40s. But, and I'll digress just a little bit. I have an issue of the Deltagram from 1942, early in 42, just after Pearl Harbor. And there's actually, it came with a form that you could fill out, the woodworker could fill out, to let the government, the Defense Department, know what tools you had and what capabilities your shop had so that you could do woodworking to support the war effort. So I thought that was pretty cool. I knew that they had done that in England, that they had kind of tried to diversify and spread out their production so that bombs didn't take out an entire factory, but I didn't realize that they had done it here in the U.S. to that extent, so that was kind of fun to learn. Anyway, I've kind of rambled all over the place, but I kind of wanted to reintroduce people to the concept of high-speed steel, both as an insert and as a tool unto itself. When you use your first high-speed steel tool, and if you think about it, all of your plane blades, all of your chisels and stuff are high-speed steel. Go ahead. It is a real thing. He's asking about coated bits, especially in the CNC world. A lot of the bits now come with, you know, the special tin coating, titanium nitrate or whatever. Amana's got their blue coating that they're using and stuff like that. Does the coating make a difference? Yes, in an industrial application. But if you're running a benchtop type CNC like I have a ShopBot or an Axiom or one of those, CNC Shark, you simply cannot cut fast enough to make it worth your while. If you're paying extra for the coating, you're wasting your money. If you can get it for the same price, c'est la vie. But realistically speaking, you can get a lot more life out of your tool by using the proper feeds and speeds. Here's the thing. You should be able to cut for 10 minutes with your router, and as soon as that tool pulls up and stops turning, you should be able to take it in your hand, and it should be warm to the touch but not hot. And if it's hot, you're either spinning too fast or moving too slow or both. It's just like working with your hand router, right? If you're working with your hand router and you stop and pause in place for a second, that piece is rubbing over and over and over again in the same space. It's generating heat and friction, and the friction generates heat. You burn your wood, you burn your bit. Same thing with your CNC. So, you know, it's all about keeping things moving and not, if you're going to pause when you're hand routing, pull away and pause. And then go back in just before you started and continue the cut. If you're using a bearing guide, it'll match up. But you know, it's the coatings they do work. Most saw blades now have coating on the body of the blade to prevent buildup of dirt and dust and help to transfer heat. But in router bits, those coatings only start to come into play when you're cutting at above 600 inches a minute. And none of these smaller machines on the market, they don't even move, you know, their rapid movements aren't even that in between cuts, let alone cutting at that speed. It's not a gimmick per se, but I think selling it to people who have home hobby CNCs, that's a little bit gimmicky. So that's my opinion. Anybody else have any questions or whatever before we get to show and tell and all that? Well, excellent. I will be here for the rest of the evening, so at the break or whatever, if anybody wants to come up and look at this stuff, talk about things, ask questions, whatever, that's what I'm here for. So thank you all, and enjoy the rest of the meeting.
Thanks, Ralph. Good job. He's got a great website. If you haven't been on his website, he's got it. I went on his website before he came, and he's got a lot of good information on there. He did a little bit of bending like Jack is doing back there. And it was really kind of interesting. That molder cutter back there, are you leaving that behind too? Is that, I mean, that was, I had to ask, okay?
Next time I come down, I have several sets, because I did all the video for our new website.
All right.
I'll bring a set down the next time I come.
Okay, sounds good to me.
Unfortunately, I won't be here for the picture.
What's your website again?
And it's woodacademy.com. So it's like Wood Academy without the A in the middle.
Yeah.
They've got it on their website.
All right, we're going to take a little break, and then we're going to do a little show and tell with Jeff is in charge of.
Okay, Bill's up first. Hey. Do I need to pick that up for you? You got that? Oh, you got it.
Can you hold it? Just a little box made out of maple. Carved a little, I guess, the top of the acorn. Used a Dremel with a metal blade, so it kind of burned as you cut. And I put threads on it, so it screws together.
I told you that was neat. I told you that.
Did you thread it on the lathe?
Yes,
Nice.
absolutely.
It's not that easy to do.
All right. All right, next up is Randy. Yeah, there you go. Come on.
Last night I read Mike's letter, email, saying that we had a meeting tonight, so that says, whoa, I got to get something for show and tell. So I went out in the shop this morning and I built this. It's a little jig that goes on my table saw, and this little post goes on the fence, so it slides back and forth on my table saw, but then you loosen this up and this slides in and out on the thing, and it's designed to set my segment lengths when I'm doing segment cutting with a wedgie sled to cut your rings, okay? You have to set your segment length, okay? And so this little thing goes in and out, and I can set my scale, I can bring it in, lock it down, and then just keep cutting all my little segments. When I get one ring done, I can just loosen it up, move it down just an eighth or a 16th for the next ring, lock it down, and then cut all my segments to that angle. And I made it kind of universal. I didn't use the thing that goes in the groove, okay, because I have a saw here, and I have a saw in Ohio, and I have a bandsaw, and all three grooves are different, okay? So by using it, by attaching it to my fence, I can use it on any one of the three. And then this unscrews, so my saw down here, this goes through my fence, and I just hook it on. But on my bandsaw, I don't have that hole. I just put a clamp here and clamp it to my fence on my bandsaw. So it's a kind of a jig, can be used on three pieces of equipment to set your end distances for segmented cutting. Works perfect with a wedgie sled. So I built that this morning. That was this morning's project.
Neat. Very good. Thank you. Greg?
So I've kind of fallen victim to my niece. She is, I think, a new Pinterest user, and she keeps finding things on there that she wants. She keeps asking me if I can make it, and I keep stupidly saying, yeah, sure, no problem. Yeah. So these are just some shelves. She's getting ready to have her first baby, so I just made, actually, I brought two of them, but there's four of them, just to put on her wall, and they'll stack books in them. And I thought I did an okay job, made them out of some nice maple, another light colored wood, and I was just happy with the way they turned out. And, since they were in my car, I thought I'd just bring them in and show them off. So, hey, shelf.
Nice.
1 of 4.
Nice. Very nice. All right. Next up is Tom. We got to use this. I just got yelled at.
I know. This is a bold. We'd say that's off center. Okay, you can end up telling everybody that the bearings in the lathe are going bad. You can see, I'm not sure you can totally see it from back there, but over here is a normal lip, and over here is much wider. This hasn't been finished or anything else. This is something I went and showed the people, not that I demonstrated it, but I talked about it last month at the turning meeting, after we went and did the 50-50 box. Okay, they wanted the inside of that round. Right?
Oh, you did that on purpose.
I did that intentionally, yes. And one of the big things I've gone and seen, different demos on YouTube, I've seen people go and do this. They tell you need to have two different types of chuck, a cold jaw type of chuck or something similar to that. And then would say with your regular chuck, you need to have two different size sets of jaws to go and be able to offset it. Anytime somebody tells me you have to go and do it this way, I always try to figure out another way of doing it. So I've gone and figured this out, that you can go and do it with one set of 2-inch jaws and then a set of cold jaws. You need the cold jaws to be able to finish off the back, that you don't see how you went and offset it. Okay? So, I mean, it drives a lot of people crazy, especially when they look at the back, and that's the way you'd normally go and have a platter like this or a shallow bowl. Tonight, Mike went and asked me, will I end up going and turning the top to the 50-50? So I'm not sure what we're going to be doing Monday, but I'll go and bring this in and I can go and talk about it again, or I can actually go and do it if Pat's got a piece of wood. I don't see the piece of wood that I said I wanted to use last.
We're doing that for the turning class,
We're
yes.
going to be doing this?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is what we're going to be doing.
Very nice. You're getting better. You're getting better. John. He's not behind me.
I have this.
Yes. We'll get you off that.
Yep. Well, this is a bowl that started out as one thing and turned into something else. I got 2 rings cut, and then when I went to cut the base, I cut it wrong. So I had to find a different piece of wood to finish it with. So that's why you see the big change in grain on here. But the whole thing is, this bowl has a little secret. It's a rouleau triangle. And that's, I'm trying to say it in French, but I'm not doing very good. But that's the way I was told to pronounce it anyway. And if you take and measure across the bowl any which way, it all has the same measurement. It's used in, they have various uses for it, none of which I can remember now. But you can look on Wikipedia, and they have a whole bunch of stuff about this. It's quite useful. It's individual. I just did it because I read it, you know, it had the same diameter no matter how you measured it. And so that was my challenge with it. And I just finished it with some oil. So that's what finished this. Anyway, I thought it'd be nice to bring it in and show it to you.
All right, thank you. Getting really good at this. I don't know. You're tempting me here. I don't want to butcher the name here. Jumani?
Hey, you.
I tried. I tried. I was hoping you were going to jump up and just say it for me, but you didn't. So you made me butcher it.
All right, so some of our friends are behind us. I think you may see it. Oh, awesome. This piece of art here was an idea to present different colors of woods, and you can see we have Padauk up here, we have spotted tamarind, we have yellow canary, we have purple heart, and different combination of colored woods. Some of them you can figure it yourself. It was an idea that getting the logo of my organization, Sebo Wildlife Training Center, in here. When you guys visit, come to Tanzania, I'll be there at the airport to meet you guys with the logo. And then on this other side, we have made it as a clipboard. So I can fasten a piece of paper there with your names in. We thought this kind of different color of the wood looks a little bit, if not very impressive. And at the end of the day, if there might be some technical questions, we have worked as a team. Alan can help me. And yeah, I think. Yeah, it comes out like this, and this is how it looks on the other side.
Cool.
Thanks. I hope I might be a better student next time in your class.
Thank you. I think Steve, I think this is what it says. Half pen, Steve? How'd I know? I just guessed.
So this is a carving. Carved it quite a while ago. It's one of the few carvings I have that family didn't steal. I started it out, roughed it out with a chainsaw grinding wheel, which I think those things ought to be illegal because it was the most dangerous thing I ever used, but lots of fun, and it hogs out wood real quick. Little bit of power carving with the Fordham, but most of it was just picking it up here and there over the course of probably a year, and hitting it with some knives and gouges and stuff. So.
How long did it take you?
Probably 2 years, but that's picking it up for 15 minutes here and there. So, yeah, his fingernails will scratch an itch. Then I have a couple of pencil carvings. It's carved into an artist pencil. It's a little dolphin on a wave.
Bring that over to the camera so they can see it really close. It's unbelievable. He's carved the lead of the pencil.
So I've done a couple of small ones too, like into a number 2 pencil. They're the smallest I've done. They get real tough though. So when you start them out, you gotta pretty much plan to break at least one.
You have to get up and see it. That's a carpenter's pencil that he's carved the lead.
Yeah.
It's
And then there's
unbelievable.
another one over here that's a German Shepherd head. it's pretty cool. Yeah. Yep.
Oh, you guys gotta come by. And
You gotta
take a
go
look
see
at this. You are not gonna believe this. You gotta come take a look before you go home.
That was one of
That
the
is
really
cool.
early ones. Thank you.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Keep it up. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
All right, that's it for show and tell.
And it's never
We need to do the raffle,
does anybody
so-
bring the same two things in. It's just,
Yeah.
it's
so
just unbelievable.
You run
It's
it this
amazing.
way
I'm glad you do
to
it.
mix them up, and you run it
And
that way for it to fall out.
Appreciate you bringing them
So
in.
we get the three.
Now I'm going to turn it over to Mike.
Okay.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a
And
minute.
what?
Wait a minute. Mike did this. All but the inside.
Oh, wait a minute. There's one ticket in there. It says Pat. What?
So now we're looking for somebody to do the top because Mike quit. I don't know what's the matter with him. But we bored the inside of this thing because it was octagon too. But I'm going to get it all finished.
It was a decagon, 10-sided decagon.
Now you put all the stuff back in there.
Yeah, except her name. Okay, we got, and again, we did this at the Turner's Club. Actually, like I said, I never made a segmented bowl like this before. I just thought it would be kind of cool. So I tested it out. It came out decent. But since I didn't plan on having something this big, I didn't have the glue lines cleaned off inside. So I brought it to the turning club. We turned the base, then we turned the inside, and now we need to turn a top to make a top to it. But this is going to be used for our 50-50 raffle. 50% walnut, 50% maple. I just made that up tonight. It wasn't planned. But we'll do that in a minute. So we're going to first do the door prizes. Again, there's 3 door prizes, so we'll pick 3 numbers. The red tickets are this prize. Pick whichever one you want. We have 3 different prizes. One is a $20 gift certificate from Rockler. One is a woodpecker's edge ruler. So this edge is 3/8 of an inch. This edge is 3/4 of an inch. So you can use it to center on the boards. You have an edge stop, so you want to make a line even from the edge. When you hang it on the edge of your board, you're guaranteed to have nice parallel lines, as opposed to using just a flat piece of steel where you never have the angle right. So it's a pretty cool tool. It fits in your pocket. And the other one is a nice safety tool. It's one of those stop buttons. I use it all the time. What I did with mine is I wired a 4 outlet to it. So I have 4 different tools to that. I have my dust collector. I have other tools that I put in so I can stop everything, get me a degree of safety. I can hit that button really fast. And there's one on my table saw. Highly recommend these kinds of things. So those are the 3 choices. And go the other way. And it'll come out. And keep going around. It'll come out and down the slide. Just like that.
And it is number 29.
Number 29 for the door prize is Steve. I think you won last time too, didn't you? No. One of these 3. No. One of these 3. Nice try. But $20 gift certificate to Rockler.
Go with that.
Okay?
Cool. Thank you.
No, you go the other way.
Go the other way. Bring it toward me.
Bring it toward you first to mix it.
All right. Yeah.
OJT. Now you turn it one way. There you go. And one comes out. Bingo.
All right. Number 15.
Number 15 is Jim Amish. There you are. And again, before you go tonight, there's still things to buy on your way out the door. We'll take your money at any time before you leave. Either one, the $20 gift certificate or the safety switch. Okay, one more. Towards you, and then backwards one.
Number 30.
Number 30 is Pat.
Oh!
It was Pat and Mike, but I wrote you first and me second. Yeah, the stop
Get your
switch.
choice of this or this.
Roll it again.
Roll it again. All right.
Yes.
16.
16. Bud Smith. He said he was going to leave too. Yeah. All right.
$27.
Richard Valenta. Where are you, Richard? He just carves, so he doesn't use power tools.
$17.
John? There you go. Perfect. All right. Now we'll do the red raffle. Who was it? Steve and John Amish.
What's the number?
Jim Amish. No, I just need to write who it was. That's okay. All right, this is for the 2 band clamps. Again, these 2 band clamps are worth about $150. They're new clamps.
864.
864? No, it's not that one. But you can buy band clamps. We have them right here. So we'd like that. 856. 856. The red ticket. You? There you go. 856. They're yours. Thank you. Thank you. Come on down. You're going to get the number. That way there's no question. There's nobody. Again, what we'll do is we'll pick a name from here. That person will come up and pick one of these tickets, one of these cards. 5 of clubs wins $5. 10 of clubs wins $10. Ace of clubs wins $145. So that's how much the pot is worth. Marvin. That's funny. Okay. Since Marvin's not here, we'll pick a card for him, and then he'll either win or not win. Marvin's out sick, so you don't have to be present to win. So pick one of these cards that are not turned over. Or in fact, we could tell Marvin that he just picked the 2 of clubs again. Marvin wins $10. There you go. So that's how that works. It still means we have the big winner still in the pot for next month. Okay? And there's still a $5 winner for next month too. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. That's it for tonight. Again, more things if you want to buy the tools tonight. Do you have anything else, sir? Pat?
I don't have a loudspeaker, but that's all right.
Well, here you go.
Don't forget, Sunday, 2 o'clock, be early, play cornhole, have a good time. We got some baby backs coming, I think 13 pounds, and we got 5 or 6 pounds of pulled pork, and then whatever you guys bring. Okay? Sounds good? Sounds good to me? What? 12:30 is the help. Yes. The we ordered it from Aldi's again. They bring a warmer. We'll stick all the meat in the warmer, so it'll all be nice and warm by the time we get there. So, thing starts at 2 o'clock.